is hashtag close enough. There we go. Boop. So the beauty of it is when you're picking up the button band, the fabric will automatically fold for you. It just knows. It's great. You could do this technique for sleeves. Yes. So traditional Fair Isle sweaters that have like all the stranded colorwork going across the yoke, what they'll like super traditionally, what they'll do is they'll put a steek in for the front and a steek in for the sleeves. So you'll cut the armpits and then you'll also cut down the front. Modern day, Sidley, thank you for the hand stretch. Modern day knitting patterns usually just have you separate for the sleeves and then keep those on another needle instead of picking it up. So when you pick up the stitches, it does create a bit of a shoulder seam, like on a t-shirt, like on a regular shirt, instead of the dropped shoulder where having the stitches live and then knitting down the arm is. Zifu Pad, hello, howdy. I will grab some water here in a moment. Cheers, thank you. So now we have our stitches to pick up and do our ribbing. So I'm going to leave a good tail. This time you do have to leave a tail because you will have to weave this end in. And I'm going to knit through the back loop so that all those stitches get nice and twisty. Nope, lies. I'm going to knit through the front loop to ensure they get nice and twisty. Do I remember how to knit? There we go, back loop. I was right. Okay. So now we're going to knit. What I was saying was, thank you, Lane Shaw, for that. We're going to knit through the back loop to make sure that these stitches are nice and twisty. And I'm just going to knit this first row. I'm not going to worry about the ribbing. What I am going to do is, as I'm going, I want to make sure that it's making a nice even fabric and that there's no gaps. Because if there's a gap, then I just need to pick it up. I need to go back and pick up an extra stitch. Just make sure it's a more or less even fabric. If I were doing a sweater, what I would do is I would just pick up the stitches and then I would worry about going back and checking what the stitch count was. Or I would rough it out. Okay, so this needs to be roughly every other stitch, every third stitch kind of thing. So thank you for the water and breeze. I didn't see the user before Twitch crashed. What? Water and breeze. So you can see now, as we've kind of been playing with it, we're really getting that fringe, and that's fine. We'll go back and we'll trim it up when we're done, but you just leave it. Really, the only thing you need to worry about are the end pieces, because those may stick up out of your knitting. Oh, when you fainted. Like, huh? Hurricane? What? Let's have a moment. You're fine. It's me. Proceeds to drink more coffee. All right, so now we have a nice picked up button band, nice even stitches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, an even number. So we're just going to do good old 2x2 ribbing. We're going to keep going on the side bits. Could I do stranded color work if I wanted to keep these two, keep the top and the bottom? Absolutely. Am I? I'm not that fancy. I'm gonna purl these, actually. And we're just gonna knit some 2x2 ribbing for a while. So looking back, we'll measure it here in a moment, but we need to make sure that we're centering our front end and our back end. Yeah. Our fronts and our backs, our butt sides. Around the mug. So we'll need to make sure that it centers itself. So we're going to measure that in a bit. But first I'm going to do like 3 rows of ribbing before I worry about it. Because I know I have a ways to go for this mug. And that's fine. What I see as impressive is I taught myself kind of color work by experimentation when I was 12. Heck yeah. And then it worked. All right, so it's a little... So, let's talk about shaping, right? It is a little smaller, and it's pulling in a little bit. So what I might do is I might go back and pick up an extra stitch or two up here, and an extra stitch or two up here, so that it's not squeezing in. If I didn't have very far to go, and this was right up against the handle, I would probably leave it because it's nice that it's pulling in because it'll fit in that handle, closer to fit in that handle for me. But because we have a little bit to go, I want it to be a little thicker before we scoop in. So we're going to frog it. Bergster, hello, my dude. Happy weekend. So I'm going to leave the stitches up here. And then I'm just going to use that as a guide to pick up a couple more. Maybe I'll pick up an extra one in the middle here. Up an extra purple one. I'll probably get one in between this gap here. When did I start knitting? I started knitting in fourth grade. You made that on the rush? Nope. We're just going our pace. Doing our thing. I mean, I do need to finish. I'm trying to finish it today, so we're not slowing down, but no rushing. So same thing as before. I'm going to knit through the back loop to try and twist those stitches. So I have an extra stitch at the top and the bottom, and then I have 2 extra stitches in the middle. We'll do 3 because here's another gap. Should just about take care of it, I think. Because if it pulls in a little bit, I'm not too worried because we need it to pull in a little bit. If it pulls in a lot of bit, that makes it more complicated. Stitch in the middle here. So 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom, 4 in the middle. And that feels good because ribbing usually pulls in a bit. The one go? Yep, we snipped it all in one go. I missed the big cut. Yarn Ho, it's okay. It'll live on in video. But we chopped it. Look at that. Look at that edge. Chopped it. All right, so let's recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Heck yeah. Yarn Ho, you did miss the big cut. It will live on in the VODs forever. It's also going to get... I'm going to highlight both these videos as well. They'll be saved forevermore. Have figured out that the coasters I'm making need to be blocked to get them to lay flat. Yes. So in a perfect world, after we snipped our knitting, we would block it to get it to lay flat and to get the color work open up before we put the button band in, because that would give us a straighter edge and it would make this curl a little less. I'm not worried about blocking a mug sweater because it's for me and I'm good with this. If I were doing it as a gift, I absolutely would, because I would want it to look professional and polished. For me, I'm not so worried because as I use it, it's going to self-block. It's going to eventually figure itself out and stretch and lay flat. I will say, so like here for the leaves where our little curly Q at the bottom is a little lost, sometimes blocking will really help that to pop out again. Sometimes it won't. It all depends upon how tightly you knit your color work and how much help it needs. Unfortunately, when it comes to color work, a lot of that shit will block out, but not all of that shit will block right out. Blocking will help even your stitches with that stretch, but it will not fix everything. Particularly when it comes to color work. but it helps. Helps immensely. But because we're doing this together, I don't want to snip it and then block it and then come back to it next weekend. We're gonna keep on trucking. Can't stop, won't stop. All right, so now that we've done our 2 rows of ribbing again, let's reassess. Get these ends out of the way. So, looking at this, it is now roughly the same size, the same width. So we're keeping that straight, which is nice. It's a little splayed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit these 2 ends together. I think I overshot just a smidge. And that's fine. So we're just going to swoop, course correct. Boop. I used to knit so tight that it squeaked. Yes. I used to knit chainmail. Like, I would see a knit pattern and I would try to do a gauge swatch and I would have to go up 3 or 4 needle sizes. And I held it so tight. Like it was gonna get away from me. And I just really didn't need to. Sergeant Pike, good morning. You're making some button bands. What is a strand of ganza? So we knit this swatch in the round last night. We sewed in the edges. And then we cut our knitting. So it's called steeking. And it's specifically for stranded color work, which is what we did. Chat decided they wanted to call it a stranded ganza, and who am I to argue with a fun name? So we cut our knitting on purpose. Now we're making the button bands, which will hold the buttons so that we can take our mug cozy on and off of our mug. So who wants to put a tiny hand knit sweater for your mug through the dishwasher? Also, who has time to hand wash all their stuff? All right, so we knit 2 more rows since we course corrected. And this gives it a nice edge. I'm really liking how this is working out. Let's turn this light up a bit. There we go. So a much smoother edge this time. That's what we're going for. I'm following like none of your rules. Geo, they're more like guidelines. Really. So looking at the back side, picking up that button band makes this edge that we just did, this little flappy flap, makes it lay flat, which is fantastic. So if we were going to put a ribbon down, we'd put it right over here. And I'd sew it to the first stitch inside before we get to the button band. And then very lightly shadow stitch it. So this, again, where blocking is important because you want it to be fully blocked. Very lightly try to shadow stitch it to these floats to secure it. Today's mood is the ecstasy of starting a new project versus the dread of gauge swatching. Fight! It's a danger cozy. I'm doing a fold over band, then cutting and sewing it down. Geo? Go for it, but you have to post the pictures. but I want to see it. Fight! Oh, stretch. All right. So, okay, now we need to do some math. But I'm going to do 2 more rows first. Oop, other side. Is a grippy yarn so meh? No securing? Danger cozy indeed. I'd make an absolute bag of this? No, you wouldn't. You'd do great. I'm a fantastic teacher. I have lots of confidence in my skills. Because if it fails, I'll live. You put all this time into it. Don't you want to, like, double check it and stuff? I don't know if I could do a danger cozy. Like, I'm a process knitter because if I don't enjoy knitting it, I won't knit it. But I am absolutely a progress, like, must have a finished thing at the end. Must have something I can hold up and show that it was worth it. I use the machine before cutting. I would recommend that. It's like 4 hours. I'm okay. This is a very important 4 hours to me. Also, this is a memento of our time together. All right, so measuring bits is right. So we want to give it a bit of a stretch. So I have a little ways to go. So I want it to be about even. I have a little bit of a ways to go. We're about halfway, a little over halfway, before we want it to start narrowing down to get under the handle bits. So I'm probably going to knit 4 more rows, and then we'll give it a shot. Twist that stitch when I put it back on the needle. Button, who's got the buttons? I got buttons. I got 2 buttons. Although I'm going to have to measure. We may not be able to fit both buttons. It may just be 1 button. If I'm making a sweater, I'm super cautious. That's fair. Also, like, I mean, not to be gross, but this mug cozy isn't going to get washed nearly as much as, like, socks or a sweater. I'll wash it, but it gonna be well. Sometimes you need something you don't care how it comes out. You know what, Chio? I would agree with that. Sometimes you need something where the stakes are low, and that's okay. Do I want this to turn out nice for y'all? Absolutely. Is it the end of the world that we didn't have 5 leaves instead of 4? No. Knit it for enemies. Mine will be coffee stained in 3 minutes in. Hopefully mine will be a little better. I should have put the darker color for the border now that I'm thinking about. Speaking of coffee stains. Oh well. Poison. Only my enemies. So if you wanted to be extra fancy, get your math super great, what you could do is, if you had a center pole and an outer pole ball, knit both of these at the same time and then keep going until they're perfect. But do you sew it? Yes. Yes and no. So we're going to sew the buttons on, but we're not going to sew the two ends together, because the whole point is you want this to be removable. So you can either switch it from mug to mug or you can take it off. So last night we sewed one and this morning we sewed the other. So this light blue edge here is where we sewed it to secure it before we cut it. And then for the two button bands, so the whole point is we want the buttons on here so that we can easily remove this. So we'll sew the buttons on, but there'll be two buttonholes and two buttons. So it can button in and button out so we can wash our mug. I think I have a center pole. Really, really bad at being able to tell if things are center pole or not. I don't think this one is. Nitpicks. I wish you just had the center, the tail end sticking out always. That would be so fantastic for me. Oh, hey! Did find an end. Look at that. It's a knitting miracle, you guys. That removes a lot of the mystique. Good. I mean, unless you want to keep the mystery alive, and then I'm sorry I ruined it. Sometimes you got to keep the mystery alive, and sometimes you got to know how the sausage gets made. Sometimes you just gotta untangle your yarns. How do you guys feel about knots? I find untangling knots very therapeutic. Some people do not. Stream's gone very pixelated. Not dropping any frames on my end. So hopefully it's good. I love unpicking knots. I do too. Unless I'm winding. Like my old winder would get stuck. And then my Swift would kind of jam up. and then I'd be sitting there untangling loops and loops of yarn. So I hate untangling when I'm winding, but like knots, I'm down with it. All right. Depends upon what crunch I am in, but untangling is soothing. Some people are like, nope, no time for it. And I'm like, I am not cutting more ends, because the more ends I cut, the more ends I have to weave in. It could be your internet connection, or there could be a bubble in the line between me and you. As long as it's not my computer pooping itself, I'm like, great. Because that happens too. All right, so let's go back and write down the things I should have written down, right? So I should have kept track of how many stitches we picked up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, plus the 2 I picked up. So we need to pick up 20 stitches. The other side. And then we'll worry about however many rows. Give or take. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to come over to this end, and we're just going to knit with the other end, and we're going to knit from both ends out. Same thing. I'm going to fold this over and see about picking up these stitches. So, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get 3 purples. It's 10, 11, 12. Oh no! I can't start halfway through because it's connected. Perkster is unloading points. So we'll start from this end. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 14, 16, 17, 18, 20. Nailed it. All right. Turn off auto under quality and set it to 1080p. Yes, or drop it down in quality. Sometimes, I always forget Twitch, sometimes the auto doesn't auto well. I'm back and I'm glad I missed the cutting because I didn't want to cry, but I have to see it later. We did cut it. We got our little fringy bits. It turned out great. It's okay. Everything turned out safe. Freaks me out when I have thousands of them. I need to find more things for more channel points. I'm willing to take requests. All right, so same thing. We're gonna knit through the back loop. We do some sweet 2x2 ribbing. Then after 2 row, I'm only doing a knit row for this one to set it up. And then after 2 rows of ribbing, we'll narrow it down to 18, just like we did on the other one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8. Getting out any bits of purple we picked up. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm super scrappy with this. My bands will be 2 different colors. Go for it. Color can be fun. Go for it. I don't think I have any zero shits projects, but I do have a couple that are like very low key. Like there are 3 stitches in this whole thing. Even distracted Stacy can't mess this up. It'll be fine. Bash, good morning. How's it going? We have cut our knitting. We are currently knitting button bands. Try it sometime. It's really fun. I think I would have to like find some. Like it's really fun for me to plan out a project because I'm a nerd. So like if it doesn't go the way that I have planned, I usually don't care, and usually it winds up for the better, so that's fine. But like I don't know if I have like if I don't like how it's turning out, I'll just stop it. I was talking to String Player the other day and I was like, I've just reached my fuck it phase. Like, I just don't care about a lot of things anymore. And you know what? It feels amazing. So I tell people at work sometimes, because, you know, I work in a very fun place with a lot of people who really care, which is fantastic. But sometimes I have to remind those people, like, the stakes are so low. The consequences are not. If this doesn't turn out the way you planned, what will happen? There's a manager in one of the theme parks who has a piece of duct tape on the floor, and it just says "the bar." And when people start like hyperventilating, they're like, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And she's like, the bar is so low. We've never done this before. There are 0 expectations. We're trying something new. There are 0 consequences if this doesn't turn out the way we planned because it's new. Sometimes my team thinks that they're solving world hunger. I need to do something really quick and use up yarns. I crochet coffee cup holders that have handles for takeout coffee. Ooh. Dak, do you have a pattern for that? If you have a pattern written up and you'd like to post it in the Discord, I'm sure folks would love it. If not, please do not feel like you have to write your own pattern. Also pictures. I adore seeing what you guys are working on. You guys always see what I'm working on. I never get to see what y'all are working on. Show me your stuffs. My mug will get cold. Worst case, this cup cozy will be a doll skirt. See, there you go. Worst case, I just frog it. Or I give it to the cats. Because you know what? This little bit of twisted yarn, my cats would go bananas for. They constantly steal my swatches. Why bother buying cat toys? I could just knit swatches. Frogging color work is a pain, though. That is true. I think when you lose peeps who mattered, it puts a lot of stuff in perspective. Yeah. I mean, it's always about perspective, right? I saw a TikTok of a couple who were forced to ride out the hurricane in Disney World Hotel. Pricey, but really nice rooms. Usually Disney will figure out like deals and stuff. Like if you had to extend your stay because of the hurricane, because flights were canceled, usually you get a discounted rate. And they waive all the cancellation fees and everything if you need to move stuff around. And all the hotels, all the restaurants were discounted if you were staying there. So there's one restaurant that's like normally like a $50 a plate meal, and it's like $15 a person. And I was like, dang it. Boma, why? So they try to make it as pleasant as possible for everybody there. And I was laughing at all the people who were on Twitter who were talking about Disney forcing people to work. All the ride out crews at Disney are volunteers. Generally, except the managers, but the managers know what they're getting into. But all the ride out crew at Disney are volunteers. So they're volunteering to not be at home with their families to hang out with people. So you have to be nice to them, but Disney doesn't really force anybody to do anything. Just gonna trim the ends where they could stick out on the top and the bottom of the mug. The rest of the fringe, I'm really just not gonna worry about. But it does kind of suck when you go to Disney and then you can't do anything at Disney. There is a picture on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's so cute. Because Disney has a lot of entertainment when you're stuck in your rooms. And they had let me see if I can find it. It was so cute. Talking about people who were at the resorts. Of course, everything this morning on Twitter is Epcot. It's Epcot's 40th anniversary today. BT dubs. Happy birthday, Epcot. Happy birthday, Epcot. Let's see if I can find pictures. They were posting it everywhere the other day. Hold, please. So everyone's stuck inside, so they had all the extra recreational activities. They had bingo in the lobby and all the fun stuff you could do. And there's one picture that I thought was the most adorable thing I've ever seen. I find it. Gosh dang it, I'm gonna find it. They had like dance parties in the lobby, and Donald and Daisy Duck were playing bingo with everybody. And there's one picture where they were at one of the resorts. Oh, here it is. Oh, it's so cute. They were at one of the resorts. And here you go. And all the characters were sitting down and watching TV with the kiddos. Just sitting there holding hands and hanging out. And I was like, oh, it's so cute. Let me catch up on chat. I've made them big enough with bulky yarns, and the handle doubles as a hand warmer multifunction. Yes. Writing your own pattern, there is frig all wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with writing your own pattern. I don't want anyone to feel like they are forced to write their pattern for me. So if Dak had it handy and wanted to share, great. If not, I'm definitely not going to give anybody extra homework for this stream. No homework. Talking about give no fucks projects. Want to see a blanket for my grandson's half-sister that asked me in her cutest ever sweet voice. I had a plan. It was neat in my mind, but the colors didn't meet up. Yes, I would love to see it. We'll check Discord here in a second. Oh, this is too big. How cute is this, guys? How cute is this? The richer you are, the less you have to worry. If you're at Disney, no matter what hotel you're at, you'll be moved to a safe hotel. So a lot of people got free upgrades. Never seen you use scissors before? We use scissors today. Is frogging the same as tinking? I've only heard of tink, which is knit spelled backwards. Yeah, Hotzen has it. So frogging is when you rip it because it sounds like a frog. You rip it, rip it, rip it. So when you're basically when you take it off the needles and you're ripping back huge sections, and then tinking is where you're literally knitting backwards and you're undoing stitch by stitch, which is usually when you're like going back to the beginning of the row, or it's like lace work and you are only unpicking like 1 or 2 rows. So frogging is yoinking, and then tinking is knitting backwards. Stormclouds don't distinguish property boundaries. Correct. It was very cute. I'm always impressed and proud by the way Disney handles hurricanes, but it's a company and it happens like every year and they're used to it by now. It's kind of a routine. We kind of know what we're doing. Let's take a quick second. Let's look at the Discord. Rest my hands for a second. KB, I love this commission that you're doing. I love the colors. They're so bright. Test knit for Mage is done. You guys can't see it, but it says Once Upon a Time with a castle and a rose and this beautiful briar border. If you scroll up in the Discord, Fiber Mage has posted tons of pictures. It's adorable. I did Lion Brand's Mandala baby colorways. Changed skein every pattern repeat, but it was weird how short rows made the stripes when a color changed in those last few rows. I think it's fun and colorful, and I kind of love it. Sergeant Pike, thank you for all the biddies. My teacup was lonely. 'Twas lonely. I think this is fun and adorable and super colorful. It reminds me of those parachutes when I was a kid. The black and red one, Fergster loves this color. The teacup is bare. Bare no more. Want me to write the pattern for the Ecru baby blanket I made in 2008? I'm sure folks in Discord would love to see it. Again, I'm not giving anybody homework. If you don't have it readily available, you really do not have to. Low stakes. That was KB Fibers, Fergster, and you can catch your stream if you don't already. Although, knowing how fast KB knits, it may be done this weekend. I would love a trip to visit Disney World. I almost did a few years ago, maybe one day. Yeah. I work here, so I get to see it a lot more than the average human. I have it somewhere around here. Yes, rip it like a frog. More biddies. Thank you, Sergeant Pike. Not done yet, still working on it. Yeah, but you work on things so fast, it could be done by your next stream. All right, let's get back to it. So, let's take a second here. Sort this mess out. So, we're doing both of our ends here. This end needs to be a little bit longer to match this end, but we're going to do a fit check. Look at how cozy this is going to be. So trying to line it up, right? So both sides are kind of even. We have like 2 more rows on this side, 2 to 4 more rows on this side to match where we are here. And over here, we still have another like 2 rows before I want to start decreases. So let's do that. So we'll do 2 more rows on this side. We'll knit this to match, and then we'll start decreases to get under the handle. But first we need to knit. Oh no, did we do this backwards? We did. That's all right. Everyone avert your gaze. Avert your eyes. Nobody look. Whoop. Get them all? Yeah. Pike is overflowing the cup like Mickey with the buckets. All those dang brooms. It is a layer cake. It is a surprisingly structured layer cake, because normally our biddies are not that organized. Normally our biddies are much more challenged. Sergeant Pike, thank you again for all the biddies. Love how the green ones wiggle. It's like Jell-O in the middle of your cake. I think the teacup has a force field. I think you might be right. Magic. I don't know. No one's ever filled it so efficiently before. My secret. It's been 2+ years. My secret is outed. It's magic. The less said about Jell-O. I've been watching, I think his name is Dylan Hollis on TikTok and Instagram, where he makes all the old recipes. There have been a lot of salads lately. A lot of Jell-O salads. I'm a true sicko. I like old stale Jell-O that is rubbery. I do like firmer Jell-O instead of softer Jell-O. So I'm there with you. To an extent. I can see it. I could see it. My biddies don't jiggle jiggle. Twitch seems to be going still good for me. Oh baby, is it good for you? Cause it's good for me. Oh man. Happy Saturday. Zifu Pad, you keep those poise out of here. We are going to be playing some Cult of the Lamb Tuesday and or Thursday, though. There is going to be some culting going on. And I think we needed Atomic Cult. Was the name of our cult? Gonna have to look it up. The cult I named on my Switch is Cultlandia. Poise, no. Geo. No. So for those of you who don't know, my husband Damien's Gaming has the has the blurp sound effects, and one of them is this poi song. Poi poi poi. A poi poi papui. I hate it. Every time I come into Damien's stream and it plays, I'm like, nope. And I just turn right back around and then I leave. I don't need it. I don't need it. But some of you like it, so congrats. Also, if you tune in on Sunday, Damien hit his sub goal to unlock a new emote. And he will be we will both be eating a grilled cheese sandwich. Basically, I'm going to make a Gouda grilled cheese sandwich and cut it into triangles, 2 triangles. We're both going to eat a grilled cheese. We're going to use Gouda Sergeant Pike so he can get Gouda. Also, because Gio made him the little cheese hat that looks like it has a little Gouda rind. Have you tried grilled cheese with bacon? Of course. So at lunch in the cafeteria, my favorite thing to get for lunch is a cup of tomato soup and a cheese quesadilla with bacon. It's like an adult grilled cheese. It's my favorite combo. Seafood Pad, thank you for the biddies. Ah, oh, ruined. Get wrecked, Biddy Cup. So we've done Munster before, and he hates it. He says it's too salty and weird in his mouth. And I said, uh-huh. Lots of comments to add to that I cannot say at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. In public. I had offered to make him a traditional Kraft Singles schmelty American cheese, and it got vetoed by chat. In favor of some Gouda. So he can get Gouda. Sergeant Pike, thank you for the biddies. I do like how the pink is now all on the side. Get Gouda, Damien. Tell him to just swallow it fast. That's what she said. Try grilled cheese with cream cheese slices of the brick style. Does sound good. That will kill Damien. We have an ad break. All right. Measure fit test. This looks great. So, got our little extra bits here. So it's so nice across the front. Got our little sleevey bits. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, let's decrease. We'll do one on each side. So we'll do one on each side, we'll knit across. We'll do one on each side, we'll knit across for both sides, and then we'll see how we feel. Dutch cheese is all the same. It's Velveeta with pretension. I do want to try brown cheese someday. Serrano sounds fantastic. I don't know if the grocery store will carry it regularly. I wanted to do some Irish cheddar or some Dubliner cheese. I feel like would be fantastic. Ground cheese is a different thing altogether. I know. But someday I do want to try it. Someday. For a quick surprise. Just a little whoop-diddle-doop. I think Damien might like a sharp cheddar. Like a super sharp cheddar. I mean, I don't think like, but less hate. That is really sharp. He'll hate it. I freaking love it. I like all the cheese, but it hates me. It's all down to your taste, really. Yeah, and Damien can't be trusted. Damien's taste can't be trusted. Is what it comes down to. Anyway, chat voted on Gouda, so he can get Gouda. So today I will be obtaining Gouda for Damien's grilled cheese sandwich adventures tomorrow. Also, if you play World of Tanks, he's doing his big tank giveaway finale tomorrow. It's funny how cheddar from different places can taste so different. Yes. Well, it's almost like a different cheese. Like they should have named it something different, but they're like, cheddar. I'm like, okay. It's the milk. Oh, that would make sense. Your guts hates it, and we hate our guts for being such haters. Zifu Pad, it will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Will be Damien's stream. When the grilled cheese will happen, I do not know. At some point, he will be like, Stacy, prepare the cheese. I'll be like, finally, I'm starving. And then I'm going to be sitting there with this big old cheese-eating grin on my face. Going, and Damon's going to be going, Hua. It's going to be great. I've brought the big blanket out of timeout as I want to crochet, but the smaller things are too hard on my wrist today. I hope it has learned its lesson. Oh, hi, Damien. We were just talking about how you were going to be eating a grilled cheese sandwich with me tomorrow. And everyone was talking about how they can't wait. Are you knitting a tea cozy? Kind of, Bash. We're knitting a mug cozy. Stream crasher, go back to bed. No, Sergeant Pikey made me breakfast this morning. Hi, Damien. We were definitely not talking about you. Correct. Do you find when pizza but ice cream is a big uncomfortable no-no? That's fair. I want poutine again. Poutine. Can you mass produce it? The mug cozy? No. I'm teaching everyone how to make their own mug cozy. You too can get in on this action. Damien, show off all your fancy Halloween emotes. Also, can you take the Stacy face emote and put a cute little witch's hat on it? That would be fantastic. I really like that mommy one. I think we need to make... I think we need to put a little witch hat on my face. When I look so cute. Ah! Bing! Anime! Ah! One more row on this side. We'll measure. How does Damien feel about goat cheese? The same way he feels about all the cheeses. No, thank you. And wiggly eyebrows. The wiggly eyebrows, that's going to take some more conversation. Damien, I had an idea for an animated emote with the wiggly eyebrows, and I needs it. We'll talk. I want a nice thing for Damien. Yeah, like a fantastically grilled cheese sandwich. You can get some fancy bread. Maybe a nice eggy brioche. So fluffy. Catch all that sweet, sweet butter. All right, beautiful. Okay, so. Let's talk fit. Damien doesn't like sourdough. Gio, I'll make you one too. Was Damien brave during the storm? Yes. Bravest boy. What? All right, so here's our mug. It almost meets in the middle, which is fantastic. I know my hands are in the way, but most importantly, here, let's do this. Yeah. All right. It's hard to show off on camera. Trust me, it looks great. All right, mug cozy. Check. Fits under the handles. So it fits in between. Check. So what's going to happen is the side where the buttons are, we're going to cast off. It's good. And then we're going to make the button band. So we want the button band to fold over the buttons. So where the buttons go, we're going to cast off. It's done. Where the button band is, we're going to make buttonholes and then knit a couple more rows. And then that'll be done. And we're almost done, gang. And then we'll take a break and do something. Possibly spin. Maybe more knitting. Undecided. Did your cats act funny during the hurricane? Yes. They're not funny. They were just kind of freaked out. A nice thing for Damien, yes or no? All right, so what would the nice thing be? Damien gets nice stuff all the time. I would just like to point out. Could you use Velcro instead of buttons? Technically, yes. Would I? No. All right, here we go. Okay, I'll make the poll, but if you guys say yes, a nice thing for Damien, you have to tell me what that nice thing is. Should Damien get a nice thing? Yes. Absolutely not. Who the F is Damien? Star poll. Content does not meet guidelines. It's because I put an F in there. Damien does get socks. This is correct. Damien gets hand knit socks constantly. Speaking of which, Damien, if any of your socks need a bath, you need to put them in the bathroom. It's bath time later today. Wouldn't the choice of nice things be all booze? I don't know. That is the question. That is the question. A nice grilled cheese Sammy. See, I think a grilled cheese sandwich lovingly made by hand is like one of the best presents in the world. Damien does not. Can't imagine why. All right. Can I vote yes and also vote for who is Damien? I think you can cast extra votes with your channel points. So yes. All right, so we finished. So this is the side where the button goes. So now we need to decide, do we want 2 buttons? Or do you just want 1 button? I think 2 buttons because I don't want it to curl up on itself. Also, it'll help the ribbing kind of pull out just a smidge. Now I just want to put googly eyes on these buttons, but the googly eyes are downstairs. All right, so now we need to math. We need to think about some math, right? So we should put them probably here and here, right in between where the ribs are, right? So it'll be 1, 2 for the rib button, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 for the rib button, 1, 2. Googly once they're sewn on. I mean, I think I have to. I think I'm legally bound. So on this side, where the buttonholes will go, yarn everywhere. So I think what we'll do is we'll do 1, 2, yarn over, knit the rest until we get to the last 4 stitches. Bind off, yarn over. I think this is going to be, yeah, probably a 2-stitch buttonhole. In the case of buttons. Do I have any gray buttons? Let's look. I don't know if I have any small gray buttons. I have one of these. They're not the same though. Clear button. I have 2 clear buttons. And I have 2 very small gray buttons. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on. Sorry. I have 2 clear buttons. And I have 2 very tiny gray buttons. These are just leftover. These are all the extra buttons from like clothes and things. I have a blue button. I have the 2 brown buttons. I have 2 grayish buttons that are almost the same. And then I have 2 clear buttons. And I have googly eyes that won't fit all of these. Okay, y'all voted that Damien should get a nice thing. What should the nice thing be? Buttonholes are not complicated to make. They just make they just need math. A kiss on camera, he gets those all the time. A nice grilled cheese and bacon Sammy. I mean, He's getting one of those. Can you bind off 2 stitches and cast back on for the next row so the buttonhole will be stronger? Yes. That is his call? No. We are not letting Damien decide what his nice thing is, because it's going to be expensive. A pint of Rocky Road ice cream? He doesn't want Rocky Road. He wants butter pecan. A really good drink to go with it. What pairs well with a nice grilled cheese sandwich? Like a gin and tonic? I don't think it would be whiskey. Booze, or booze? All right, buttons. Sergeant Pike, you want a gray buttons? Do these gray buttons appease your needs? A really good craft beer? Ooh. I'm also already volunteering to go to the grocery store for him. Gray if they're big enough? I think these gray should work out really nicely, actually. And then they'll fit in a little bit better. And then they'll really make the googly eyes pop. Is there a dinner you could cook he'd really like? He really likes all my cooking. Does he like coffee or chocolate? He does love some coffee. Oh, that's what I'll do. Tomorrow, I'll make fancy coffee in the French press for him. With where I grind the beans fresh and then I put it in the French press. Fancy coffee for Damien. Why? I don't know. He hasn't earned shit. But I am a loving and benevolent overseer. All right. Fancy coffee for Damien tomorrow. Why? I don't know, but there it is. We also have an ad, so I'll wait just a hot second. Little Irish kiss. We're out of Irish kisses is the problem. I mean, I have whiskey, but I don't have any Baileys or Kahlua. Because you can also have some. Yeah. All right. Fancy coffee for Florida Man tomorrow. Also, if you would like to see said grilled cheese sandwich in action, make sure you're following Damien tomorrow. I was going towards the chocolate or coffee beer from Schlafly. Oh. I love a good coffee stout. Damien just likes stout. All right, so buttonholes. Well, Damien really likes it when I make him martinis. When I make the martinis and the gin and tonics, because I make them better. So I could make him a martini, but I was trying to figure out like what pairs well with a good grilled cheese sandwich. And grilled cheese sandwiches and martinis don't really feel like they'd go great together. Schlafly, are you from St. Louis? I was like, that sounds great. And then I was like, I don't think we have that down here. That's a very Midwestern thing. Middle Midwestern. All right. Buttonholes. So. Cesar? What is that, Dak? I don't think I've ever heard of that before. I'll talk about buttonholes. You tell me about what this is. I said Bloody Mary. If he liked tomato soup, I'd say yes. It's a drink, right? What is it? I love you dork. An espresso martini? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It really depends upon if it's what kind of espresso, if it's true espresso or not. And also if it's gin or vodka. South of it. There it is. All right. So buttonholes. Focus. even though Yarn Ho and Sergeant Pike just made friends. So for the buttonhole, what we're going to do is you bind off however many stitches. So you make a hole, and then coming back, you cast those stitches back on. That's how you make a buttonhole. The thing about buttonholes is math. Obviously, the buttonhole needs to be big enough so the button can slip through it, but small enough to where it doesn't undo itself automatically. The nice thing about knitted buttonholes is so you can do two things. So like you could just knit the fabric, and then if you had a sewing machine, you could make the sewing machine sew the buttonhole, and then you could score your knitting and then put it in there. I don't really recommend that. It's a pain in the ass. The nice thing about knit buttonholes is if you make them too big, you just take scrap yarn. You sew up the edges and make them a little smaller, and no one has to know. Nobody has to know. And if they can see it and they say something, then you just say, I reinforced the buttonhole. Nobody has to know. So, I think one stitch would probably be good, but if you make them too small, there's really nothing you can do. So we're going to go, same deal, we're going to go for 2 stitches. Just like this. I'd rather it be too small and then knit a little extra on the side. I'd rather the buttonhole be too big and then sew the corners up a little bit. Secret ways of Stacy. That shit'll block right out. It's true though. It will. Buttonholes you can squeeze in. You'd be surprised. Nope, I can't say that. You'd be surprised what we can stuff in this hole. All right. So we said 2 stitches. So the other thing you can do is, if you're worried about being too big, is I could knit these 2 together and knit these 2 together to make that hole, but I'm not. I prefer the bind off method because I think it looks not neater, but well, neater, not cooler, neater. How about a cozy with a zipper? I mean, you could. I wouldn't for anything this small. Anything this small is going to be impossible to put a zipper in. It'd need to be like 8 inches or more. Don't they all? Oh, I shouldn't have knit that one. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to bind off 1. Bind off 2. Then I'm going to pull this down here and take a look. So that should just about fit it. Because it's a little snug getting through. But it's not, you don't have to force it. Nobody wants to force it. I have found buttons in the least hygienic of places. Nope, not gonna touch it. Guy Math has that at 8 inches. Well, you know, there's correct measurements. There's the imagined inches. There's the imagined measurements, and then there's the correct measurements. That's why it says CM on the back, for correct measurement. Right? That's guy math. The imagined. versus the correct. All right, so we have two holes. Boop. 2 holes. Little. I did not even mean that. Bergster, don't you worry. I can make anything awkward. It's my superhero power. You can talk to Hinka about it. All right, so we've come to our hole. So I'm going to backward loop cast on 2 stitches. You can do yarn overs. I don't really like it. I like the backward loop because, again, it has that structured finish. So to backward loop cast on, you take the yarn, you make a loop, and it's important that the loop, the way you spin the loop, has to be so that when you put it on, you can yank it tight. If you put your loop on and then you yank it tight and it comes apart, then you need to flip-flop your loop. You need to shwip your loop. Shwip. And then I'm going to keep going in the established pattern. So we get to our other hole. And then I'm going to backwards loop. So take that loop and slip it on, pull it snug, loop, pull it snug. Hit the last 2. So I'm going to knit at least 1 more row before we do the cast on, because you want that button to have a good bit to rest against. Ideally, we'll knit 2 more rows and then bind off. Damien's stream doesn't have innuendos. All the embarrassing stuff is obvious. Damien's stream doesn't really like putting stuff in your endo. Can't imagine why. Snort, snort. Snort, snuck, snort. Guffaw. I can't even. I can't even. Also, yes. Snort, snork, guffaw. Ha 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 ha. All right, now we have two fine holes. Yeah, I'm never going to be able to say hole without laughing at myself. All right, button hole test. Boop. Just enough give to where it has to stretch it to get through, but not where it struggles. That's a well-lubed hole. No offense, but how have you survived family-friendly at Disney all these years? It's all the stuff I say behind the camera, you see, officer. Because I can turn it on when I have to, and when I don't, I don't. Good lawyers. Oh, come on. All those court cases have been thrown out. Gotta go pick the kids up, Gio. Take care. If I don't see you again, have a lovely weekend. Have you ever seen Bob Sagan stand up? I don't think I have. I've seen Bob Saget. Not live, though. I'm poor. I'm poor. Now that we have our 2 rows, so you can keep going if you want a bigger button, if you want more overlap between your buttons and your button band. Really, though, you don't have to have a lot after the buttonholes. If you're going to have more overlap, I'd put it where the buttons go. And I'll show you why here in a second. All right, so we're going to weave in some ends, and then we're going to talk about button placement. Let's get some of this yarn out of here, because there's just yarn ends everywhere. Let's weave in some ends. Gonna leave the ends I'm leaving in not fairly loose, because there's gonna be some stretch to it, so I don't want whatever ends I'm weaving in to have a stress point. So I'm leaving a bit of give, just like I would for socks. Just like I would for socks. Three extra bits on the ends. Yes, that's what I'm gonna use. So I'll show you what I mean here. So we're gonna weave in a couple ends, and then we're gonna take a look at our remaining ends. I'm not gonna worry about weaving it in super far, because it's not like this is gonna get a lot of wear and tear apart from when you're taking it on and off the mug. So I'm going to weave in the inside bits, and then we're going to talk about the end bits. So I'm weaving in the ends where we started our side bits. I'm going to make sure that first bit that I weave in is fairly snug so that the end doesn't have a big gap in it. But the rest I'm going to leave with that bit of give. Do you know anyone who transferred to a non-US Disney? Yes. But I like my team. So my team is international. So I also know people who are from my team who are currently living in France, working on French projects. But there are lots of people who transfer overseas. Depending upon the job, they don't necessarily get like relocation pay. So like Disney won't necessarily pay for your move. Unless they are unless your position is being transferred. It's much more common for folks in my team to be transferred from California to Florida and vice versa. All right. So let's zoom out a bit, because now this is getting a little big. We have our mug. We have our cozy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look here, and I'm going to decide where we want to place the buttons. So for this end, where the buttons are, let's start with this bit. So for this end where the buttons are, if I felt like the buttons were too loose, I would use that end to get those corners as I weave in the edge. So I'm going to leave this in case it's a little loose still. This end I'm going to use to sew the buttons on. So looking here, I want to see So you want some overlap of where the buttons go for the button band. But I didn't want a ton of overlap because I didn't want it to be extra thick. So looking here, I'm judging how much stretch I want on it and how far to sew the buttons in. So I think about 2 rows. So here we go. The end for the buttons. And this time I'm going to need a smaller needle because I need one that'll fit through the buttonholes. Fit through the buttonholes, but also that I can wedge this yarn into. There we go. So, weaving in the ends. I'm going to give the edge here a little once over. Try and give it a little bit more stability. And I'm going to weave it along the top to about where I want that button placed. So we can take our first button. Whoop, you sent me something. Is it an Atomic Stacy with a WeChat? You guys! It is an Atomic Stacy with a witch hat. Ah! It's so cute. It's so cute. What do you guys think? Yay or nay? I like it. I think it's adorable. Let's go here. Because I don't have to get my emotes. I've been approved for auto-uploading emotes. So let's auto-upload an emote. Upload new. Standard emote. Oh, just kidding. Y'all don't need to see that. Save image. Which bits are happening. Sergeant Pike, thank you for the biddies. So let's take out smile. And we're gonna put witch in instead. Here we go. Everybody, you might need to refresh. But going through? Not yet. Takes a hot second. One now? It tells me that I'm not subscribed to my own channel, so I can't use the emote. Gosh dang it. Damien, it should be in there. I don't know if you can see it or not. It works for you, but it tells me that I'm not subscribed to my own channel, so I can't use the emote. Thanks, Twitch. Sometimes duplicating won't let you use it. I didn't duplicate the emote. It will let me use any other emote, but not this one. This one is locked. The rest of them are fine. It's fine. Y'all can use them. Halloween emotes abound. Got a little witch's hat for Halloween. Please use all over the place. Can anyone else use it apart from Damien? That's a good question. Can someone who is subbed to the channel attempt to use it? Sergeant Pike, thank you again for all those biddies. I'll roast. Stop it. Okay. I'm going to turn this light up extra so y'all can see the button since it's dark. All right, so I put the yarn about where I want the button. I put it through a buttonhole. I'm going to put it through the other buttonhole. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do crisscross. I'm going to do it in a square because that'll make it easier to put an eyeball on later. So if you have 4 holes, you can either do it in a cross or you can do it in a little square. The important thing about buttons is when you put it back on, put it back through that hole, don't pull it extra tight. You gotta leave some give. Otherwise, how is that fabric gonna be able to rest between the button and the other side so it can lay flat? Off to nap, Damien. Enjoy your nap. I lost one of the yarns I'm using to make the llama sock. Oh no! It's hiding. "12-foot Dave, hello. We are finishing off our mug cozy, a sweater for our mug. We're sewing the button on right now. I've done smiley face on buttons. Yes. All right, and now I'm going to tell you a thing I like to do. I'm going to come back up. So I've done all my buttons. So instead of moving on to the next one, I'm going to come back up. And I'm going to wrap it around that button. Once, I think. Because this is a fairly thick yarn. And then I'm going to go back down. So, a nice button. It's been reinforced. So we're going to come over here. Does the button fit through the buttonhole? Yes, it does. Aw, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That's so nice. It's not going anywhere. Nice and firm and secured. Looks great. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to weave this end through. I'm not going to worry about weaving in my yarn. I'm just going to kind of carry the yarn through to the other side where our other button goes. Let's see. About here. Give it a nice stretch so that it's not pulling that yarn that we just fed through tight. Grab our second button. Button, button, who's got the button? Just kind of maneuver it until it's about where I want it. I'm gonna sew it down as well. Again, we're gonna make sure that there's enough give so we can fit the other fabric through. D-Moon, hello! We're putting the buttons on our mug sweater cozy, finishing this puppy off. Alright, make sure it's nice loose. That one is a little bit tighter, so I'm just going to come in here. Just loosen it up a smidge. That's nice. Gonna pull the yarn back up. Gonna wrap it around the button once. Pop it back down. And now we're gonna weave in that end for realsies. Things are like boom, and they just ask like, meh, nothing special. So I'm gonna pull the yarn down a smidge, and then I'm gonna weave it in. We're making magic here, and y'all don't even care. I'm just gonna keep going. All the way down at this point. All right, so now, if our buttons had not gone through these buttonholes nearly as nice, I would use this end to sew in the corners. If the button was a little snug, you could kind of try to force it open a little bit. But our buttons fit great, so I'm just going to weave in this end like normal. I'm going to start off by doing the same thing on the corner here. Just wrap it around to give it a bit of structure. And honestly, I'm just going to kind of do a quick whip stitch along the edge. This one. So you've made 2 fence posts? Yes. Come back over here. Do the same thing, and I'm just going to carry it down. Good stretch. Put our needle away so I don't lose it. Snip a dead end. Whoop. This isn't as complicated as it sounded. It's usually not. D-Moon, hello. There we go, gang. A mug. Cozy. A sweater for a mug. Burr, burr, burr. Ah, so fresh, so clean. Ah, Can I make it weird? I can always make it weird. There we go, gang. We did it. We cut our knitting, and it all turned out okay. Just like that. Boom. I kind of like it. He's cute. He's a cute boy. Okay, maybe I tried this at one point. You should. Look at how nice that is. Look at how nice that is. And it's so squishy, and it keeps my hands safe from hot mugs. Make sure my poor mug stays warm. We did remove the fear factor. 4 pounds of honey is a lot of honey. Guys, we did it. We cut our knitting. Nobody cried. Nobody died. Well, at least I didn't cry. I can't speak for y'all. Let's see. It is 12:45 Stacy time, local Stacy time. LST, if you will. Local atomic time, LAT. We could go for another hour. I have a hard end at 1:45. Let me make sure it's 1:45. I do need to get my hair did. I got a haircut at 2:30. So I have to end at by 1:45. So Eastern Stacy time, EST. That's fantastic. Yes, please. What do y'all want to do? We could get the spinning wheel out. We could spin for like a half hour. I could take a quick break and grab my knitting. We could knit on something for a little bit. Tornistal Rosen. Hello. Tornistal Rosen. Hello. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for the follow. Please tell me how to pronounce your name or what you'd like to be called if I butchered it, which I probably did. We could do a bit of knitting. We could do a bit of spinning. We could just call it a day and find a new friend. I would say play Cult of the Lamb. I will get stuck. Will miss hair appointment. Everything will be awful. This wig needs a trimming. No missing the hair appointment. We could do a bit of knitting. If y'all want to stick around. If y'all are like, no, I've been traumatized enough for one day. Then we find a new friend. That lovely blanket shawl? Ooh, we could do that. I have it. Right here. Let's do that. We'll do some knitting. I am going to take a quick break. I need to go get some more coffee. I have the blanket shawl right here. And then I also have the rewilding shawl. They're both out of handspun. From the north of Sweden, in English, my user is the Rose. So Rose is quite okay. Rose, thank you for being here today, and thank you for the follow. It's lovely to have you. Hello to Sweden. We'll knit the blanket shawl. We'll knit the blanket shawl. I love this thing. I've been knitting on it a lot. I love it very mucho. I'm going to take a quick break. It's only going to be a few minutes. I'm going to run to the restroom. I'm going to grab some more coffee, and then we'll be right back. And then we'll do some knitting, and that'll be really fun. That'll be fun. I'm going to run an ad break. The rewilding shawl? Yes. This is an old one. This is an older one out of the gradient handspun. I've not been giving a lot of love to it, so I have pulled it back out. To do some knitting on. They're both handspun. I've made both of these. I'm not gonna lie though, my heart is in this project right now. So blanket shawl it is. All right, we will be right back. Get up, stretch, get some liquid nourishment, and then we're gonna keep knitting. See you guys in a minute.